Do you hear that? That's the sound of friendships being made, alliances being broken, uncovering ancient secrets. But most of all, it's the sound of better times. Halo is a very special series to me, and I know this is a little different than the videos I normally make. But I've been thinking about these games a lot lately, and I want to talk about them. Halo used to mean something and be something, and I was truly privileged to experience it at its height. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Most of It, where I talk about most things that I find interesting. And today, we're going to be going over how Halo used to be special. It all started in January of 2001. Microsoft unveils their first foray into the console market, the Xbox. Alongside it, they needed a mascot to actually sell their new console. Enter Bungie, a game studio that had been acquired by Microsoft a year prior, and their work-in-progress first-person shooter, Halo. The game had started life as an RTS game under the codenames Monkey Nuts and Blam for Mac computers. However, after Microsoft's acquisition of Bungie, Halo shifted gears to become an FPS. Bungie would relocate from Chicago to Redmond and would have about 14 months to finish the game before the Xbox would launch. The devs would endure such crunch time to get the game out on time, but they would be successful, and Halo Combat Evolved would launch alongside the Xbox on November 15th, 2001. I'm definitely not the first, and I'm sure I won't be the last to say this, but the title could not have been any more fitting. Combat Evolved was not just a flashy branding choice, it was a statement that Halo would change and to some degree create the console landscape when it came to first-person shooters. And oh boy did it. Halo was a revelation, creating the standard for how console FPS games would function. Before it, the best example for those games was probably GoldenEye 007, which, while a fun game, was undeniably clunky and occasionally obtuse when it came to gameplay. Halo, however, was intuitive, featuring new things such as two-stick controls thanks to the Xbox's controller, and mechanics other than just shooting and walking. Often referred to as the golden triangle of Halo, you could use guns, grenades, and you had a melee attack. Now I know for us enlightened individuals from the far future of 2025, these things sound minor and expected from any FPS. And you're right to think so, but it's only thanks to Halo that these things became expected throughout the industry. The gameplay wasn't the only innovative thing Halo brought to the table though. The story and music were often ignored in FPS games, with the exception of maybe the Half-Life series. But Halo brought these two to the forefront, with our glorious king Marty O'Donnell giving us what is still today one of the best soundtracks in gaming history.
Well, I was working with the game and just the very core basic mechanics of the game and getting things to work. One of the guys here, Joe Staten, who's our writer, came to me and said, we need to be able to show Halo off to the world. And I said, well, we need really great music for that, so give me a shot at writing something. So I knew just the general idea of what it was going to be, and we decided it needed to sound epic, mysterious, and ancient. And I was driving over to the studio and thought, well, ancient, monks sound ancient, and I started singing some monk chants in my head and came up with that melody and came in and recorded it, and boom.
The music is alluring, making you ask questions about the adventure you'll soon be going on and making you feel like you just scratched the surface of something far more ancient and bigger than you. But what about that adventure is so great? Well, we can't talk about the story of Halo without mentioning our boy Master Chief. This super soldier was created as a vessel for the player to stand in place of and experience the story for themselves, and yet somehow they still gave him enough character to make him iconic and an actual character, unlike most of the other mostly silent FPS leads of the past. He's not the only character though. This game has many of them, including, but not limited to, Cortana, Sergeant Johnson, Foe Hammer, 343 Guilty Spark, Captain Keyes, and a bunch of random, yet somehow still memorable Marines. I won't go too much into the story, as that's just not what this video is about, but seeing Master Chief crash land onto the ring and discover this new place alongside you made such an impact that he remains one of my favorite characters in all of media to this day. Seeing humanity struggle against the forces of the Covenant was fantastic, and made an impact on everyone who played it. But all that was just the campaign, and that was only half of what Halo had to offer. Yet another innovation was the multiplayer, with up to 16 people being able to play together through linking their Xboxes. This was normal for PC players for years at this point, but for consoles, this was a massive game changer. And with maps as iconic as Blood Gulch, Hang 'em High, and Rat Race, how could you not have fun with your buddies in this game? Halo multiplayer was massive. Talk to anybody that grew up around this time, and they'll tell you just how big it was. So when it came time to make a sequel, Bungie knew they would have to go even bigger. Halo 2 was announced August 8th, 2002, alongside a trailer and demo of the game the following year. Both seemed too good to be true, boasting new environments, mechanics, and graphics. But Bungie would promise us that this was all real and was coming soon.
I'd like to show you. It lays out some of the key features of Halo 2, how we tie in with Microsoft's big .NET strategy. Also goes into some of the key technical features that our engineers...
Stow it, son! These folks didn't wait in line to hear your lips flippity flap. Knuckle up and get ready to dance, you pasty bastard!
Yes, sir, Sergeant.
What you good people are about to see is an operation in progress. This is a real-time feed. No smoke and mirrors, pre-recorded bullshit. Elements of the Covenant fleet have made landfall and occupied one of our cities. We'll link up with our forces in theater, engage the enemy, and boot their sorry behinds back into the stratosphere. Yo, give them a biatch!
Sir.
Got anything?
Yeah, the PowerPoint thing.
Kill the lights!
Unfortunately, almost everything they had developed at that point had to be scrapped, as the new game engine was too demanding for the Xbox and would not be able to run efficiently. The devs would endure insane levels of crunch, with many sleeping in the office to get the game out for its November 2004 release.
There's nothing we can't put in the game, and all we're waiting for is the assets to go in there for us to tag to them. So we're in good shape, I think. Ask me again in 2 months, and when I'm bloodshot eyes and I haven't bathed in 3 days, and I'll probably tell you something different.
So we had a game that was 9 levels. Took us, started at Earth and brought us out into the galaxy and then brought us back to Earth for this grand conclusion. Well, right about at that moment, Pandora's box was opened and decisions which were engraved in stone were rethought.
We messed up, like we didn't have the design down, we didn't have the story down.
Once we actually started to see how long the missions were taken to produce and how long they were taken to design and script, and it just wasn't going to work.
And then everything that wasn't essential, all these things that we just loved to see in the game, they get put on the bottom of this list, and we start hacking them off.
Here comes the knife out of the script. What's important? That isn't, goodbye, my lovely child.
The Bungie process of making cool games has worked up until now, but is it possible that there's an amount of pressure or an ambition that's beyond what we can actually do? I don't know. We haven't finished it yet.
Halo 2 would launch on November 9th, 2004. And, oh man, if Halo 1 was big, then Halo 2 was the low taper fade meme, because it was massive.
What else is massive?
It made $125 million on its first day and became the highest grossing piece of media ever at that point. Not video game, media. But it wasn't just successful at making money, it was also a game deserving of that success. Halo 2 was very innovative in its own right, featuring dual-wielding weapons, some new vehicles, and even a new campaign storyline following an elite that was in command of the Covenant forces in the first game. Despite its chaotic development, Bungie managed to somehow deliver a game that would yet again change the landscape of gaming forever. The story of Halo 2 is somehow even better than 1. And again, I won't go too much into it, but this game is one of the best representations of spiritual deconstruction and self-actualization that I have ever seen. Watching the Arbiter come to question all he once knew and change as a result of it is a road that I myself have traveled down, and it is fascinating to see it so well done.
Tartarus, the prophets have betrayed us.
Of course, you can't have Halo without the Chief, and his Halo 2 version is probably my favorite version. He is still the same character, but he seems to be having more fun in this game. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Could we possibly make any more noise? I guess so.
Of course, Sergeant Johnson returns as well.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
And he's as iconic as ever, of course. Cortana's here too, along with Captain Keyes' daughter Miranda. The characters, story, music, and gameplay are all undeniable steps forward from CE. But what about the multiplayer? Well, Halo 2 was able to take advantage of the Xbox's new Xbox Live online service, allowing people to play Halo online with their friends for the first time. And you probably know what I'm going to say, but this changed everything. Halo multiplayer swept across the planet, with even more people than ever experiencing the magic of Halo, with no longer just their friends, but also random strangers online. This is when Halo would go from just a great game to something special, with a community of people across countries all cussing each other out and having a great time doing it. Master Chief would become a household name around this time, and would be elevated to sit alongside the greats of gaming. However, due to the crunch development time, Halo 2's campaign would end on a cliffhanger, leading everyone to wonder what was next. Bungie would unveil Halo 3 in 2006, with a release in September 2007 for Microsoft's newest and best console, the Xbox 360. The marketing for Halo 3 is legendary, and has some of the best trailers to this day.
Rated M for mature.
However, behind the scenes, Bungie would still have some difficulty during the development, with many devs being burned out from Halo 2. Halo 3 would release September 25th, 2007, and say it with me now, it was even better than before.
Its Halo series is one of the most successful video game franchises in history. When the second installment was released in 2004, sales skyrocketed past $125 million in the first 24 hours, and Microsoft predicts the newest version will do even better. As of midnight, about 10,000 stores put the heavily hyped Halo on sale, starting at $60 a pop. Having conquered the software industry, Microsoft now has a firm foothold in the entertainment business.
Halo 3, just like Halo 2, would be a massive commercial success, making $175 million on launch day, and becoming the best-selling video game of 2007. Halo 3 would feature new gameplay elements like deployable equipment and would feature new modes, including the all-time classic Forge, a map editor allowing players to make their own unique maps and modes, as well as a theater mode allowing players to record and watch their own gameplay. But the campaign was, at least for me, where it was at. I love the Halo 3 campaign. It was a perfect send-off for the characters and the story as a whole. And the multiplayer, man was it something. Halo 1 and 2's multiplayer was undeniably special, but 3's was magic. I have so many memories playing with my friends all night and just goofing off and having a great time. 3's multiplayer is hard to convey if you haven't experienced it, but for those of you that have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. After the success of 3 and having capped off the story they set out to tell, Bungie would sign a deal with Microsoft, with them becoming an independent studio after making 2 more Halo games. One of these games would be Halo 3 ODST, which released in 2009, where he plays a human rather than the Master Chief, and seeing the Covenant through the eyes of a human rather than a super soldier is a completely different feeling. In ODST, you are slower and weaker than the other games, and have to rely more on stealth and silenced weapons. The ambiance of ODST is unmatched as well, with you being placed in a dark, moody city and slowly fighting and sneaking your way through it and discovering what has happened to your crew. And the music, man. The music. While not near as big as the previous 3 games, ODST was still received very well and is regularly praised today. The last Halo game Bungie would make would be Halo Reach in 2010. Reach would be a prequel to Combat Evolved, showing the fall of the planet Reach. Reach introduced new equipment like jetpacks and the ever-loved armor lock. Reach would bring back many players to Halo and would make about 200 million its first day. Reach was and still is greatly beloved and is Bungie's goodbye to the Halo series. Having fulfilled their contract, Bungie would ride off into the sunset, leaving Halo in the capable hands of a new studio at Microsoft called 343 Industries. Having been given keys to one of the most beloved and highest grossing franchises of all time, surely they couldn't mess this up, right? Right? Halo 4 would be announced in 2011 and would release in 2012, with the campaign following Master Chief and Cortana uncovering and battling a Forerunner, all while Cortana would disintegrate and eventually die at the end. The campaign was just okay. Not awful, but not great either. The gameplay would often be annoying and obtuse, and the new enemies were just straight up not fun to fight. However, they really focused on humanizing Master Chief, and while a little on the nose sometimes...
Before this is all over, promise me you'll figure out which one of us is the machine.
It would mostly be appreciated by fans. The multiplayer was also mixed, with many agreeing it didn't feel like Halo, and was trying to be more like its competitor Call of Duty. The player count would be decent at launch, but would soon collapse as most went back to 3 and Reach to play. Alright though, 343 is obviously setting up something cool, right? I mean, they wouldn't kill off a fan-favorite character like Cortana for nothing, right? They have to have something big coming, we just have to wait for it. In the meantime, though, 343 would release the Master Chief Collection, a collection of all previous Halo games, including a remaster of Halo 2 for the game's 10th anniversary. MCC would release in a buggy, unfinished state, with many being unable to play at all. Many fans saw it as unforgivable to mess up such a seemingly simple task, and I tend to agree with them. However, over time, Master Chief Collection has become much better, and is now, I'd say, a fantastic way to experience the series. Okay, so they got off on the wrong foot with many aspects of 4 and completely butchered MCC, but surely they couldn't mess up the next game, right? Right? Yeah, we all know where this is going, so I'll stop wasting your time. Halo 5 would be announced in 2014, and initially the trailer seemed promising, showing Master Chief and some strange new Spartan pitted against each other in what seemed to be a life or death struggle. This was exciting to see. Maybe 343 had finally hit their stride.
Were it so easy?
What can I even say about 5 that hasn't already been said 1,000 times? It sucks. It just sucks. The campaign is focused around an apparently alive Cortana starting an AI rebellion, and Master Chief going rogue and being hunted down by Spartan Locke and his team. And as a slight aside real quick, what was 343 thinking with 4 and 5? I mean, Master Chief is the savior of humanity, and in these games he's treated like a standard infantryman. Like this scene here.
Commander Lasky, pursuant to Article 55 of UNSC Regulation 12-14572, I'm ordering you to remove that AI's data chip and retire it for final dispensation.
I don't want to. You don't want me to.
Remove
Please.
the chip now, Commander.
Please. I don't want to.
Give me that chip. The Didact has to be stopped. If you won't do that, I will.
I am ordering you to surrender that AI!
The Chief and Cortana are worth more than most armies, and yet are so undervalued here. But anyway, Halo 5 is bad. The trailers were straight up deceptive, and the story was just dumb. You know the whole trailer storyline of Chief being hunted by a rival Spartan? Yeah, that just ends up with a fist fight that, in lore, shouldn't have even been a problem for Chief. But anyway, what about the multiplayer? Well, it was generally well received, but it would not feature any form of offline multiplayer like split screen. This right here, this was a massive deal. This marked the moment Halo shifted away from its roots of being a couch party game and tried to become another generic, uber-competitive online shooter. The fan base rightfully hates Halo 5, for the most part, and overall, I just try to forget it happened. After the rocky reception of 5, 343 would take their time making the next game, and Halo Infinite would be announced in 2018. It would be shown off in 2019, and afterwards would be delayed till 2021. But what is this? A traditional-looking Master Chief? Purely Covenant enemies? Open world exploration? Maybe this game would be alright. And yeah, the campaign was alright. Not great, not terrible. It would feature Chief coming to terms with Cortana's death and embracing a new AI. Oh yeah, Cortana died. You know the last game, how it ended with Cortana becoming an evil AI empress? Well, none of that's here. She was just relegated to an off-screen death.
What?
It was clear that Infinite's goal was to undo the damage they had done with 5, and in some ways they succeeded. The gameplay is quick and enjoyable, and Chief is closer to his Halo 2 version of himself, which was obviously great to see. Ironically, most of the issues with Infinite comes from the multiplayer. 343 announced that Infinite's multiplayer would be a free-to-play live service game.
What is it? That stench. I've smelled it before.
And initially, it seemed great. A little light on content, but still a lot of fun. However, as time progressed, 343 would drop promises like split-screen campaign and more game modes and never come through on them. I mean, the game launched without Forge. Come on. Slowly, the community began to see that the only truly finished thing in Infinite was the shop, where you could buy the color red for $8. In the background, there would also be several massive layoffs at 343, and more recently, it would be renamed to Halo Studios. But all the while, updates became less frequent and featured fewer things that the community actually cared about, and gradually, the player count dropped for Infinite until it got where it is now, a dead game. So what happened here? How could they mess this up so badly? How could they take a once beloved franchise and turn it into a universally disliked game? Well, the heart left the series. Go back and watch the old interviews from Bungie and see how they talk about the games. Doesn't it make you excited? I know it does for me.
The bar across the board up for Halo 2.
In a lot of ways, Halo 2 is just an extension of all the excitement we felt at the end of Halo 1 and that we didn't get to express.
Just in every way, we've really increased the scale and the scope of the game.
It's exploring huge environments, 10 times the size of Halo 1.
It's about kicking ass in as many ways as possible, in as many different bodies as possible.
Halo 2 is about guns and more guns. That's what it's about.
343 did not have to work to make Halo a success to the degree that Bungie did, and thus, they don't care about what made Halo special. And I honestly don't know if they even know what it was. But we do. It was the heart. It was growing up and seeing the Master Chief in trailers and getting excited to play as him. It was going over to your friend's house and playing some fat kid. It was hitting a headshot from across the map on Blood Gulch and talking trash to your opponent. It was experiencing the story for the first time. It was being a kid and watching your older brother or dads or cousins or whoever play Halo and have a great time together. It was the love and care poured into these games that made them special, and 343 does not get that. If I were to describe the state of Halo right now in one word, it would be soulless. You can look at Infinite and tell that every decision was made to maximize profit or virtue signal. Some of you may say that this is nostalgia talking, and yeah, I agree with you. To some degree it is. I can't deny that I have some heavy nostalgia for the older games. But go back and play them, and you'll feel what I'm talking about. Halo used to be special. It's been sad seeing it dragged through the mud for such a long time. I don't know if Halo will ever recover, but what I can say is that I'll be here waiting for it to return to form. After all, Spartans don't die. They're just missing in action.
Wake me when you need me.
Well, that's all I got for today, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this kind of video. I know it's really different from my Warhammer content, but this is what I felt like making now. So let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment down below what topics or characters you'd like to see me cover next. And with all that said, I'll see y'all later.